Hello, my name is Sonali, and I welcome you all to the latest episode of Around the World in 7 Days. Recently, something very strange happened in the Middle East, which even the Arab countries did not expect, let alone the rest of the world. Syria has again returned to the Arab League. This is being projected as a major change in the Arab world. It is the same Syria that was shown the way out in 2011 on the allegation of repression of democracy supporters. But after more than a decade, Syria has decided to get back home. When the 32nd meeting of the Arab League took place on May 19, Syria also participated in it. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad attended the meeting. This development in the Arab world is being seen through many lenses. According to experts, this change will have far-reaching consequences. At a time when the geopolitics of the Middle East is changing rapidly, the softness of the Arab League countries, especially Saudi Arabia, towards Syria is being interpreted in many ways. The question is, what does this change mean? Is this a result of the intention to promote friendship between Arab countries or something else? Before moving on to these questions, let's first know about the Arab League. The Arab League, also known as the League of Arab States, is an intergovernmental pan-Arab organization of all Arab countries in the Middle East and Africa. Its official name is Al-Jamia ad-Duwal al-Arabiya. It was formed in Cairo, Egypt on March 22, 1945, following the adoption of the Alexandria Protocol in the year 1944. Back then, 6 countries were its members. These countries were Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. Currently, it consists of 22 countries. It is headquartered in Cairo, the capital of Egypt. Its purpose is to strengthen and coordinate the political, cultural, economic, and social programs of its member countries and to mediate disputes between them or between them and third parties. Do you remember the Arab Spring? Towards the end of the year 2010, its spark was ignited in the Arab country of Tunisia, and the entire Arab world was engulfed in this fire. All monarchical powers in this region were attacked by the supporters of democracy. In many countries, the monarchical rule was overthrown, but in some countries, violent incidents continued for years. Syria was also one of them. In March 2011, violence broke out in Syria's southern city of Darra following a pro-democracy demonstration. It turned out to be a nightmare for Syria. The Syrian government used force to suppress the voices of the protesters, and the movement flared up across the country. But as the movement grew, government repression also increased. The Syrian government was accused of not following through on a peace plan that was called for the withdrawal of military forces, the release of political prisoners, and the start of talks with opposition groups. Despite attempts at peace talks and a ceasefire agreement, the violence continued, eventually leading to Syria's suspension from the Arab League in November 2011. But now, Syria has returned to the Arab League after 12 years. Recently in Cairo, foreign ministers of 13 member countries voted in favor of Syria's return to the Arab League, while 8 countries did not participate in it. The most powerful country, Saudi Arabia, voted in favor of Syria's return. According to media reports, some member countries also opposed the re-inclusion of Syria in the Arab League. Qatar is the most important among them. However, on May 19, when the Arab League meeting was held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, it was attended by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, and in his speech, he took on the Western countries. Now the biggest question is, why has Syria returned to the Arab League? In fact, at the time of suspension, a tussle between President Bashar al-Assad and rebel groups in Syria escalated into a civil war. Thousands of people were killed during those violent episodes. After the removal of Syria from the Arab League, many Arab countries, including Saudi Arabia, made many efforts to remove the Assad government from power but could not succeed. Even after all the efforts, these countries could not do anything. After 12 years of suspension, when Arab leaders felt that Assad would continue to remain in power for a long time to come, then only these countries decided to include Syria back in the league. With Assad's feet firmly fixed, it has become a compulsion for the Arab leaders to include Assad back. Everything aside, what will follow with Syria's return to the league? As we mentioned earlier, Saudi Arabia's attitude towards Syria's return was positive, while 8 countries were against bringing Syria back into the league. This means that without Saudi Arabia, the restoration of relations with Syria for the rest of the countries does not make much sense. But it is believed that Syria's return can bring a big change in the Middle East, and its consequences can be very far-reaching. In recent times, Syria considers Israel as its biggest enemy. Syria is the only country in this region which is competing with Israel and America alone. In such a situation, it is believed that it will be easier for the Arab countries to fight against Israel on behalf of Palestine. The second reason is that there has been historical enmity between the countries of the Middle East. Some countries are fighting political battles even today, but in recent years it has been seen that these countries are coming together forgetting mutual enmity. Taking the example of Syria, its bilateral relations with Egypt, Saudi Arabia and other countries are improving. Recently, the exercise of friendship between Iran and Saudi Arabia is being seen as a major geopolitical change. That's why it is believed that these countries want to forget the enmity and focus on economic development. As we already mentioned that Syria alone is fighting against Israel and America, Syria joining the Arab League is a big blow for both America and Israel in this region. It is believed that now Israel along with America will fall weak in Palestine. Since Syria is a big ally of Russia, it is also being seen as Russia's success. Now Russia will become stronger in the Gulf region. This is obviously a big achievement for China because Russia and China are in the same camp, and China had also fostered the friendship between Saudi Arabia and Iran. After Syria's return to the Arab League, the anti-America camp will become strong in this region. So that was all in today's discussion. See you in the next episode. But before we leave, let's note down the practice question based on today's coverage. How will Syria's return to the Arab League affect the geopolitics of West Asia? Discuss.